Hello, everyone. It's Monday, March the 14th. We've lost, and I'm sure this is just due to the weekend and surely a lot of the snow and all the stuff that we had. Maybe we didn't get this all updated as well as we should. And on the weekend, there's a bunch of lags. We always know that. But we have 10 additional deaths, and that's 10 too many. We know that too, but I'll ask again for your prayers and everything for all these folks. But the 6,550th death in West Virginia, and the reason that I go back to the 6,550th death is we have had a previous death that was reported in December of 2020. A 47-year-old from Kanawha County was determined not to have COVID, and that basically associated with their death, and so we've taken that one out, and so our start point was 6,549. The 6,550th death is a 58-year-old female from Cabell County. The 6,551st death is an 81-year-old female from Monongalia County. The 5,552nd death is a 61-year-old male from Preston County. The 6,553rd death is an 89-year-old male from Lewis County. The 5,554th death is a 60-year-old male from Cabell County. The 6,555th death is a 78-year-old male from Cabell County. The 6,556th death is an 82-year-old female from Lewis County. The 6,557th death is an 87-year-old female from Lewis County. The 6,558th death is a 79-year-old male from Taylor County. The 6,559th death is a 90-year-old male from Monongalia County. 10 more great West Virginians we've lost. Please keep them in your prayers. Active cases were 1,432. Again, these continue to be the first days under 1,500 since July 23rd, and they just updated me that some of these numbers may not be correct. Are these the numbers, Jordan, that I'm talking about right here?
Yes, sir. We'll get you the updated numbers in just a moment.
Okay, I'm going to go on then. Then I think General Crane is with us, and maybe he could come up. He's with us via Zoom, but talk about today that I am announcing we have completed the mission with our hospitals. And so, General, if you could come on and talk, we would love to have you.
Thank you, Governor. This week, as you stated, we've marked our 2-year anniversary of you activating us to assist and provide support to the state of West Virginia in preparation to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. This makes this the longest continuous activation of the National Guard in the state's history. At the height of this, we had about 700 service members providing support to the state. And at the same time, over the last 2 years, we've had over 1,000 service members engaged both at home and overseas, providing support to the state of West Virginia for any number of missions, as well as the overseas missions that we continue to do to support the Middle East and other countries across this world. This past week, as you said, we've drawn down our support, ending our support in the hospitals. Really appreciate all that they did to help welcome us into the hospitals and give us an opportunity to see what they've had to do for the last 2 years. And I asked all of our service members to make sure they shared those stories that they learned from those nurses and doctors and administrators in those hospitals, because they've been dealing with this now for 2 years. And so I wanted to make sure that we get that story out, and so people understand what it is that those healthcare providers have been doing for the last 2 years. And I think it's really important that we remember them and know that they are well supported by us and by everybody in the state of West Virginia. It was just real humbling to go through and see what it is that they have been dealing with. And both of us are very service oriented, both the hospital workers and the members of the National Guard. And, it's great to see how we can come together as an organization, both the hospitals and the Guard, because we are so service oriented. and do the great work that needed to be done to help support and save lives in West Virginia. It's really important as we draw this thing down and as our members are coming off of their COVID orders to make sure that they have good employment post the pandemic response. And so we're hosting a job fair for our soldiers and airmen starting tomorrow and the next day to help them navigate the process of coming off of orders. And if they don't have employment to go back to make sure that they have an opportunity. And in some cases, some of them actually say that they may go into the hospitals and want to continue to do some of that work working for those hospitals. So looking forward to providing that opportunity to them as well. And, I just can't thank the governor and the entire pandemic leadership for all of the support that we've received during this COVID response. We continue to work hard to train, to be prepared to respond to whatever may come at us, whether that be here in the state or overseas. And again, thank you, Governor, for the opportunity to speak, and thank you again for all of the support that you've provided.
General, I don't know how in the world anybody from the Guard could absolutely thank any of us, but all I can do is just applaud all the incredible work that all of you have done. And boy, you talk about an honor to fly with somebody. It was a real honor flying with all y'all, because what an incredible job you did. And we just, we don't know when we'll have to call back, but I know you'll be there always, and I just, I can't say it any better. I love you with all my soul, and I express that for all West Virginians, all Americans. Your work is unbelievable. So God bless each and every one of you. Stay safe, and know that, I'll run right with you everywhere I possibly can. I won't run real fast, but and you may have to help me with the running a little bit, but I'll be right with you every day of my life, because I'll never forget the incredible work that you've done. So God bless you in every way. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Governor.
We do have our numbers. I think, we had a little glitch there and everything, but we've got our numbers, and I'll go through these real quick. We've got 1,244 new active cases in West Virginia now, 664 new positive cases. Our daily positivity rate's 4.04. Our cumulative rate is at 8.33. Our recovered cases are 887,736. We have 272 people hospitalized in West Virginia, 74 in the ICU units and 14 on ventilators. We have one gold county, one yellow county, and all the rest green counties. So these numbers are surely terrific compared to where we've been. We want them to be zeros all across the board, but really and truly, this is a whole heck of a lot better than where we've been, and so we're very thankful about that. From the standpoint of in a little bit deeper dive into our numbers, we're still at 90.1% of the over 65 that have received one shot, and we still continue to make slow but positive progress and everything. And I want to remind everybody, especially that doesn't have your booster shot and everything, that got fully vaccinated, go get your booster shot. I mean, for crying out loud, it's the best insurance policy you could possibly take. And so really try to remember to do that, because that's really important. From the standpoint of all the stuff about our, COVID-19 vaccine info line, it's all up on the website. Free testing is always there and always available. And we thank all those in the federal government and all the people that made that possible. We absolutely, again, want to thank Frith and Walgreens for all the incredible work that they've done all the way through this. We have 105 outbreaks in our long-term care facilities, none in our church community, 50 inmates and 14 staff cases. A lot of people doing a lot of good work. I remind you about the rental assistance program. It's for landlords as well as renters, and you can, we still got dollars available there. If you'll just call us, maybe we'll be able to get you qualified and get some dollars to you that will help you and will help the West Virginia economy as well. I remind you about giving blood. check with your physician, and if it's all good, please consider that. I remind you about the home tests that are free and available through the Biden administration to you. You've got to go to our COVID test.gov and it'll give you the map to be able to get those home tests, and all the free masks and stuff that are at the pharmacies and the health community centers and everything. You can get 3 per person. You know, I remind you about our Jump Start program. That's $1,500 if we can get you back into the workforce, and you can stay there for 8 weeks, and maybe what you'll do is just realize just how important you're needed, how much you're needed, and really, you know, it may change your life and head you in a really, really good direction. I addressed, you know, a joint session of the legislature. I don't know that many of the House members were in attendance, but I really do appreciate the Senate for coming, and I know the House was tied up, and you know, but at the same time, let me just say just this. You know, I've had the opportunity to talk to West Virginians in the House and the Senate many times, state of the states, and over. I don't know that there could ever be a time in our history that words were more important than right now. Now let's just step back and think about this. I don't necessarily believe that you've got a madman in Putin in Russia. I really believe you've got a calculating, misguided individual that's really smart. And without any question, without belaboring all day long, our weakness in this country have, you know, in my opinion at least, have provoked this, period. You see on the nightly news, you know, maternity wards bombed and children blown up and residential neighborhoods that have nothing to do with the military being attacked, and you see the Ukraine people giving it everything that they have and courage beyond all imagination, just to be able to be free. It is really, if it doesn't pull at your heart, I don't know what's wrong with you. From my standpoint, there's lots of things here to think about. First of all, there's no possibility that God wants this. And absolutely, in my opinion, we should stand for God. We should stand right with Him. That's one thing. The other thing is, this could lead to something that would be tragic beyond belief for America. It could lead to World War III. It could lead to a nuclear blast somewhere, or maybe a lot of them. Absolutely, we know that. And if we didn't think that, then we would stop this right now. We're afraid. I don't think we should be afraid. We're Americans. We don't need to be afraid of anybody. For crying out loud, that's just all there is to it. We don't need to be afraid of the Chinese. We don't need to be afraid of if we enforced our borders, you know, on the southern border, or we stopped the unnecessary crime that's going on in the United States. We don't need to be afraid of Russia. Give me a break. We don't need to be afraid, because absolutely when you're afraid, bad things happen. That's all there is to it. It's always been that way. When you absolutely are level-headed and you move from a point of strength and you lead as the beacon of the world, as the United States of America should do, then absolutely I think goodness happens. Now with all this was a tremendously important moment for me, for West Virginia, because just think about just this. Our coal miners, our gas workers, our oil workers, they get up every morning and they get their dinner buckets and they go get dirty, don't they? Oftentimes, you know, they're doing stuff that is extremely risky. From the standpoint of just the other day, and I forgot this individual's first, I'm sorry, I believe his name was Stephen Hively. Stephen's from McDowell County. It's probably 10 days ago now, we lost Stephen in a coal mine accident. You know, if you just think about it, I don't know all the particulars, but it could very well be that Stephen was working in seam height of 30 inches, maybe 40 inches, all day, not being able to sit up or stand up all day. Now just think about it. Those very people, they powered this nation, period. And those very people, absolutely, like it or not like it, they saved us in our World War II and everything by giving us the coal that was mandatory for us to be able to make steel to absolutely preserve this country. And then over the last few years, and it's going on even today, in the Biden administration, those people got kicked right in the you-know-where, over and over and over. The Biden administration has been trying to extinguish them, extinguish their way of life. And now, all of a sudden, we're on the brink of World War III, maybe. And who do they call? They call Stephen. And they call all those that absolutely have saved us in the past. They call screaming, "Drill, baby, drill." They call Stephen. Now listen, and listen to me really loud and clear. Today, and with many situations that go on across this world in every way, when there's an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. We know that from science. Absolutely, today, in many ways, West Virginia, they could call on West Virginia. And West Virginia very, very well may be the catalyst to stop a lot of the carnage, to reinforce in every way the fact that this country should be totally energy independent. Now, I absolutely stand rock solid for all the alternative energies, but I believe that it is absolutely frivolous to think that today we can do in this country or this world without fossil fuels. And if we believe that, we're going to have just what the hand is dealt to us right now. We're going to have chaos. We're going to have real problems. I do also believe this. I believe, and my belief, as strong as it may be, or can be, for God, I believe with all in me that we'll have time, and He will give us time as we go forward, if there is such a thing. And I underline if there is such a thing as climate change. I believe that He will give us time and the smart people will fix it. But today, energy is being used as a weapon. This country, hands down, needs to be totally energy independent. It is a crying, pitiful shame to see what has happened under the Biden administration and in trying to absolutely cripple us. We have become weak, have we not? Look what happened in Afghanistan. We are afraid of the Taliban. I mean, look what is happening right now in Russia. We are afraid of them. We're not leading the world. We're absolutely begging them to not be too mean to us, while at the same time we're sitting by watching evil happen right before our eyes. Children blown up, residential neighborhoods blown up, maternity wards blown up, absolutely on and on and on. And we sit there begging, please don't be mean to us. I don't think that'll work. West Virginia has a real opportunity to absolutely grow our gas jobs, to grow our oil jobs, to grow our mining jobs. Without any question, do you realize that West Virginia today, from the mining standpoint, from the gas and oil standpoint, is doing very well? We don't want to do very well on the backs of others. There's enough demand all across this globe today for our products that we can do very well, surely without any war in Ukraine. But with all of that, with the demand that's out there, and absolutely as we move forward, West Virginians could be called on to mine more, produce more gas, complete our pipelines, all the different things that we need to do today, right today. Now maybe there'll be a time, 20 years, 30 years from today, maybe there'll be a time when we truly, truly can resolve our energy situation with alternative energies that are cleaner. But you know what I'd say to you? We got to live here too. And God wants us to prosper and move forward right here, right now. Absolutely, we have to live here too. He's given us the smarts to be able to solve problems as we go forward, and we do solve problems. But with all of that, if you think we can do without fossil fuels today, you're living a dream. That's all there is to it. You're living an absolute dream. Now, maybe someday, we want to be all-encompassing. We want to welcome. We want to look at technology, whether it be nuclear or hydrogen or, whatever, wind, whatever, solar, whatever. We want to be all-encompassing and welcoming to look. But today, we've got to stay warm, and we've got to stay cool in the summer, and we've got to have the lights on and all the technology that we need electricity for in every way. We've got to be able to rebuild bridges and things. We've got to have coal to make steel. Energy independence where we need to be. If we had this today, we would not have had what happened in Afghanistan. We would not have what is happening right now in Iran, and we would surely, to God above, not have what is happening right now in Russia. West Virginians are called upon again, aren't we? Save the world, West Virginia. Save the world. That's what my address was about, and truly, truly, we as West Virginians, we as legislators, we as the governor, we need to realize right this second, right this very second in our life, chasing a lot of these dreams is great. I call it parsley around the edges of the plate. The meat and potatoes are laying right there in front of us. The meat and potatoes are right in front of us, and that's oil, gas, and coal. And today, we need to get at eating the meat and potatoes. Nevertheless, that's my feelings through and through. I've got an announcement here. I want to congratulate all those teams that won, that were victorious in the state tournament, and all the teams that were able to play there. It was a great, great, great girls tournament. We're getting ready to have the boys tournament now this week. It'll be absolutely wonderful and everything, and all the fans. And it's surely nice to get back at playing there. One of the teams, Parkersburg Catholic, finished the season with a perfect record. I'm not going to go through all the teams, just congratulations to all the teams. This hadn't been done in 10 years, and they kept a perfect season. It's tough to do. It's incredibly, incredibly tough to do. So with all that being said, I congratulate them. Last time it was done by Westside High School in 2012. And so to all the lady Crusaders, congratulations, on your big wins and your season, and your coaches as well. Another thing that I wanted to do, and I got so wound up in my delivery of the, in my address the other day, that we were doing in the rotunda, I forgot one thing that is critically, critically important. And some way, somehow, I'm very, very hopeful that we can get this done. But what I wanted to do was offer up, and I'm sure we'll have to do it in some level of a special session or whatever like that. But while it's significant money, more than that, it's a significant gesture from the state of West Virginia. It's very, 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 very small in the magnitude of what they'll need. But I wanted to offer up that some way, somehow in West Virginia, the West Virginia legislature and the governor all together would go together and give $5 million towards building a wing or building something back when this all settles down, and we hope and pray that that will happen very, very soon. But build a wing back on that maternity ward. Call it a West Virginia wing. You know, I know it won't be all the money in the world, but we can pull that out of surplus and not know we even had it. Absolutely, it will be our gesture to Ukraine and all those people that we've stood right with them. Some way, somehow, all across this great nation in the world needs to stand with Ukraine. That was going to be one of my messages, and I went right back. I guess I got wound up in all the other parts because I truly, truly believe that this is our point in time when America should stand up, and we should stand with America. We should stand with West Virginia. We should stand with God. We should stand with Ukraine. We shouldn't be afraid. But this is what I want to do, and I'll do it. I've offered it up in a letter to the legislature and everything. I want to some way, somehow find $5 million. We'll pull it right out of surplus. We'll hold it and wait for this terrible thing to end, and then we will absolutely make that guarantee. We will do it as soon as we possibly can and make that guarantee to all the people of Ukraine that West Virginia wants to participate in at least one thing, and that is we want to participate in maybe building the wing onto that maternity ward, because I can't imagine anything that was worse seeing than just that. You know, pregnant women and children and everything, and absolutely, you know, just the place blown all to pieces. It was just terrible. So we're going to work on that, and hopefully we can get that done. Again, our session ended on Saturday night. There were 293 bills passed. I don't see how in the world, you know, that we can come over the years. We have changed and passed thousands upon thousands of bills, and how in the world we still have 293 that need to be passed, I don't have any clue. You know, they'll be coming for my consideration. I've signed 34 bills so far without a veto and everything, and I promise I'll carefully look at the 259 that are coming to me, and can't really comment on those bills at this point in time. You know, I'm pleased that you know, that all the bills that I sent up, you know, passed, and that, you know, that one was on a tax credit to afford, you know, to spur on housing projects and change our purchasing reform, because I rolled out that thing in the state where, you know, it took 18 days to figure out, you know, how to do anything, or if not 18 months. You know, another bill that I sent up enhanced the penalties that go towards anybody in any capacity that abuses, you know, our special needs students and everything. It's just terrible, and you know, and it's also dealt with you know, the trafficking of deadly drugs across our borders. You know, we sent up a bill to just put the excess dollars over into economic development. Biggest amount ever, $600 million parked over there. And the first time in history that this much money has been appropriated for that level of purchase. And that will just bring more and more and more job opportunity to West Virginia in every way. And also, you know, that we did fund the Veterans Home in Beckley, the Veterans Nursing Home that a lot of people have been talking about for a long time. We finally got that done. And so now, you know, now I go to work on reviewing the bills that have come to me, and I promise you we will give really fair consideration to all those bills. I want to thank all the legislatures for the hard work. I mean, like it or not like it, and, you know, some of it is just, you know, blustering and everything, and that part I don't like, and some of it is just getting on a soapbox so we can go back and try to get reelected, and I, you know, don't like that as well. But, you know, these people do a lot of good work. And let's give credit where credit's due. They come here away from their families for 60 days. The pay isn't very much at all. Really and truly, we should be very thankful for the fact that they absolutely come and they serve and they give West Virginia all they got. So nevertheless, I thank them for that, and we'll get to work on the bills as they come to me. I think that's all I've got. I think, let me double check here, No, that's it. That's all I got. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you, Governor. Let's now go, Dr. Clay Marsh and Secretary Bill Crouch are also joining us today and are available for questions. Dr. Ayn Amjad and retired Major General Jim Hoyer had prior engagements today. We'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today from Kenny Bass with WCHS and Fox 11.
Hi, thanks for taking a moment. Governor, before I ask a question, I wanted to say thank you to your staff. Brought an item to their attention about a woman who had been waiting months for rental assistance from the Housing Development Fund program. And once they became aware of it, it was in a couple of days, and more than $8,000 went out the door that she was due. And it was an elderly lady who needed the money. And so I just wanted to say thank you for taking care of that on behalf of her. She reached out to me and I was able to get hold of you guys, and well done. The question I have is, it feels like we're winding down. It feels like we are getting into a point where these briefings, while valuable and still informative, will become something less and less structured, or even coming to an end. Do you feel like we're in that place as well? Thank you.
Boy, I hope so, Kenny. Hope and pray so in every way. Not that I've minded coming in front of everyone, answering every question that came my way. I appreciate like crazy you making us aware of that lady, and I apologize for the fact, because I promised you I'd call her, did I not? And I haven't gotten that done, and I'll follow up and make sure that I get that done. But we did pass it on to all of our people here, and we took care of the situation. But we can't take care of stuff like that unless we know. And so by you making us aware, and I appreciate all the times that you've done that. There's times I know you got to be tough on me, and you have been. You haven't let anybody down on that. I'll promise you that. But nevertheless, I thank you. And from the standpoint of cutting back on the briefings, I do think it's that we could come together. Let's hope and pray that this moves on, and we'll come together, once a week or once every 2 weeks or something like that, and I can address the things that I see going on, and at the same time, the press can ask whatever they want to ask, and we won't do it in a gotcha way. I mean, at least this way, we're doing it more in more of an informative way. And so I do think there's a need that you hear from the governor, and you hear from him, just not every, 3 months or 6 months. You hear from him on a regular basis. And so, but Kenny, boy, we've had, I don't know how many briefings, but hundreds. And I've been here at every one. And if for anybody on the planet wants this to be over, it's me.
All right, thank you, Kenny. Next, we'll go to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with WV News. Governor, Wednesday will mark 2 years since you declared a state of emergency due to COVID. Do you have any plans on amending that anytime soon or sending that order? Thank you.
Charles, I think, let's don't get, the cart in front of the horse here too fast. I mean, again, nothing would please me more than to amend that, and I think we're on the verge of being able to do so. Let's just breathe just a little bit, and take a few laps where we're not running real hard, and then we'll move forward.
All right, thank you, Charles. Next, we'll go to Mark Curtis with the Next Star Media.
Governor, good afternoon. Good afternoon, staff members and fellow reporters. Governor, I do want to address some more questions about the legislative session. You mentioned 293 bills got done, but there are a lot of things that didn't get done. Income tax cuts passed in the House, but never got anywhere in the Senate. There's been no significant increase in opioid funding. And probably the largest, most prominent bill that failed was the foster care bill. And so I'm wondering what your reaction to those items is, and whether you might call a special session to try to deal with the foster care issue, and especially the pay with the CPS workers.
Well, Mark, from the standpoint of the foster care, the pay for those and the long-term issues that are there, you know, I've said this over and over. There's no point in just belaboring. You know, we've made a real commitment, you know, to put real dollars in finding money, you know, for different types of projects in regard to our foster care community. But the one thing that we've absolutely got to do, and I have made this commitment, and I will tell you right today, right as we speak right now, through the vacancies that are there, I promise you, I absolutely guarantee and promise you that we will find the monies from the standpoint of unnecessary type jobs that we have posted that are vacant. We will find the monies within DHHR to fund those pay raises. We need to do that. We need those people very badly. And we will find that money positively guaranteed. Now, with all that being said, you know, Mark, there's a lot more work we can do within foster care. And we know that and everything. From the standpoint of the income tax situation, here's exactly how I feel. I can't tell you this anymore point blank. We missed the opportunity of all time to put us on a glide path to get rid of our personal income tax in the state of West Virginia. It is something that we need to address, and I plead with the legislature to come and work positively together to try to accomplish just that. You know, to just do it so we can stand up and on a sandbox or whatever, you know, or a soapbox and say, look what we're standing for. We want to get rid of part of the income tax or whatever like that. This thing is a program that we need to go at from the standpoint of how can we accomplish it, and how can we accomplish it on a timeline that's not 20 years. This was doable, Mark, and it was doable in this way right here. And it was doable last year. And it was doable in this way. And this got so misinterpreted. But we could do this, and for every breathing person that's in the state of West Virginia, even those that are not paying a dime of income tax, we could have put more net dollars in their pocket. And everybody that was paying income tax, we could have put more net dollars in their pocket. Now it involves raising the tax here, doing this, doing that, and everything else. But in the end, everybody gets more money. And you get rid of the state income tax. And then people move here. And more goodness happens. But Mark, this is not something that you can just say, well, I want to just do this. This is something that you have got to sit down, and I beg people to come to me and let us sit down and let us go through every aspect of it, and then let us get on a glide path that is near term to get rid of our personal income tax in West Virginia. I beg them to come to me and have a civil, wonderful discussion and find a pathway to do that. You know, there is a real pathway to do that. But absolutely, Mark, you got to give me this. I'm a big thinker. I'm absolutely a big idea guy. Absolutely, I have not taken this state in any direction that we haven't delivered. Mark, you know, I'm a business guy. A big-time business guy. And with all of that, Mark, I would tell you, if we can sit down, there's a pathway here that makes everybody win. We don't want anybody to lose. Everybody can win here. And from the standpoint of the opioid situation, you know, the AG's been working this with our cities and our counties on a settlement, and that'll put a lot more money towards the opioid problem and everything. I've said it over and over and over. It is the very thing that can cannibalize our state, and we've made progress. Not enough, but we've made progress. So from the standpoint of review, real quick, I stand in the wings. I welcome in every way, whether it be, Delegate Householder or Chairman Householder, whether it be, Chairman Tarr, all the different people, our President Blair, our Speaker Hanshaw, all the different people, absolutely. I welcome them to come and us work on the income tax situation, and we can solve it. We can solve it, and it would be such a win. It would be an incredible win for West Virginia, an incredible win. And for those from a standpoint, that my bill, the other thing in regard to the drug situation, my bill that I sent up on the the fentanyl, the fentanyl bill that, that I sent up and everything, and, those that were trafficking fentanyl from out of state and bringing it into West Virginia, primarily from coming across our southern border and everything, to tighten down on that and everything, I'm pleased that we moved in a real positive way there, and we're sure going to make it tougher on those people, that's for sure.
All right, thank you, Mark. Next, we'll go to Paul Mullen with WCBC.
Good afternoon, Governor. Good afternoon, fellow reporters and members of the panel. Governor, I'd like to address this with Dr. Marsh. I want to talk about long COVID. What kind of studies have been completed? Do we have any mid-range projections on what's going on there? And what do you think is going to be happening with people who have had COVID and have these lingering symptoms? Thank you.
Well, Paul, it'd be silly for me to try to compete with Dr. Marsh's knowledge in regard to this. I'm gonna let him talk to you about this, but all I would say is nobody had a playbook. Nobody's got a playbook right now either, as to absolutely a guarantee as to what's going to happen. But Dr. Marsh, please.
Well, thank you, Governor, and thank you, Paul. We know that long COVID, or now it's called differently, post-acute sequelae of COVID-19, but is an evolving set of illnesses that in some studies are 30% or so of people that have gotten COVID-19, tends to be more likely in people who have had symptomatic disease and hospitalized or ICU admitted. We know that vaccination reduces the risk in some studies by about half of developing the long COVID syndrome. And we know today that women may be a bit more likely than men. People that have had immune problems, say lupus or rheumatoid arthritis or other immune disorders, may be more predisposed to having long COVID. It's felt that long COVID is likely an inflammatory process that our bodies are affected because of the infection with COVID-19, either revving our body's immune system up, and the immune system in the people with long COVID does not return to baseline, or because maybe there are little bits of virus that aren't infectious anymore, but are stuck in maybe small clots in the blood vessels, because we know that COVID can affect the blood vessels. The most common symptoms of long COVID tend to be on the respiratory side, people short of breath, but we know that heart problems are quite an issue. There is a 73% increased risk in a year from being defined with COVID-19 to have heart problems, including heart failure, heart attacks, strokes. We also know that brain problems, brain fog, people can't think as well. They are hazy. And we know that in a study from the United Kingdom Biobank, that in people that have had COVID, who have had imaging studies of their brain sizes are a bit smaller. And whether that's related to COVID or not is not 100% clear, but that is concerning indeed. We also know that a few people can be quite disabled by a chronic fatigue syndrome where they just can't muster the energy even to get up. So in summary, Paul, from your question, we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg from the issues with long COVID. We are concerned that this may become a increasingly more bigger problem for people in our country. We know in the UK, 1 in 7 children who have gotten COVID-19 have experienced some symptoms of long COVID. And we're looking to define whether this is one disease or a series of disorders, and then what treatment can be done. As I said, reduction in the risk of long COVID happens with vaccination, but otherwise, we don't have any real insight at this point about how we can treat long COVID, although those studies are being organized and funded by places like the National Institutes of Health. So thanks for your question.
All right, thank you, Paul. Next, we'll go to Jess Mancini with Ogden Newspapers.
Thank you for taking my question. Governor, if I can ask about some of the things you said about the energy in West Virginia. What roadblocks are there or obstacles to overcome to increase energy exports from West Virginia directly to offset whatever the sanctions against Russia?
Listen, my family's been in this industry, the energy sector for generations. And I can tell you lots and lots and lots about this. But we got to just step back and be real truthful. Energy is the only thing that we have, really and truly, that civilization only progresses on abundant, cheap energy. And that's for real. On top of all that, I really truly believe that God wants us to progress. So we've got to have abundant, cheap energy to be able to do so. Now, without any question, nobody in the world, because I have spent so much time enjoying the incredible, nature and the incredible, pristine waters and great air and everything that we have in the state of West Virginia. And nobody wants that any more than I. All I'm saying is today we have no ability to do without fossil fuels, and people that believe that, I think, are nuts. That's all there is to it. You got a bunch of people that don't have one clue in the world what they're talking about, and they run through the neighborhoods screaming, get rid of this, get rid of that, and everything. It sounds great. All the green stuff, it sounds just great. And at the end of the day, when we really get right down to it, we realize, dag, we can't make it just going that way. And not only can we not make it going that way, maybe there's problems with going that way. Today, there is no possibility that we can make it without our fossil fuels. And absolutely the commitment of what our oil and gas workers or our coal miners have done for this state is off the chart. Now, Jess, listen to me. Every obstacle known to man has been thrown in the way of these industries. We have not stood back and tried to really help these industries grow and be able to develop all kinds of cleaner technology. And all we have done is kick them. That's all we've done. Saying we'll get rid of them. Let's get rid of it. Sounds good, doesn't it? We'll run and get elected on that. It sounds good. Kick them. Kick them some more. And then all of a sudden we need them and we start screaming, bail us out. Drill, baby, drill. Mine more coal. Whatever we got to do. Now, Jess, I'll tell you just point blank as point blank could be. If we got to where we were pulling the rope together, we not only could mine more coal, produce more gas and produce more oil and come up with solutions that would lead us to greener, greener, greener. We could do it pulling the rope together. But we won't do that, will we, Jess? We won't do it. And then all of a sudden it leads to just what we have right now. We are on the brink of World War III. and we absolutely chase a hydrogen hub, or chase the next nuclear deal, or chase the next 8 windmills, and we're on the verge of nuclear war. Just think about those oil depots or whatever like that that have been blown up, and all the stuff that's going up into the air. What are we doing? Are we crazy? Are we absolutely crazy to not step back and think of the repercussions of war? Are we not smart enough to realize that when maternity wards and children are blown all to pieces, we're not doing the right stuff, and we're taking away freedom from a nation of millions and millions of people that are walking as refugees into Poland or wherever it may be. Now, Paul, this nation doesn't have anything to be afraid of. Absolutely, our energy sectors in the state of West Virginia, we should be so proud of them, it's unbelievable. We shouldn't absolutely be the frogs that aren't proud of their own pond. With all that, we should be diversified and move forward in every way, as I've tried to take this state down that path. But Jess, please listen to me. Please understand. We have the greatest coal miners, the greatest gas workers, the greatest oil workers, the greatest thinkers on energy that it could ever be in West Virginia. And you know what? Like it or not like it, we hold the cards to maybe solving the world's problems. And not only do we hold the cards to solve it, but those cards could be the economic impact of West Virginia like you can't fathom. You can't fathom the economic impact that could be for the state of West Virginia. At one time, I think in the state of West Virginia, we mined 100, and I could be wrong about this, but I think it was 180 million tons of coal in the year. I believe that year was 1997. I don't know that for positive, but I think that's what it was. With all that stuff, Jess, right now, a month ago, 2 months ago, the state of West Virginia being beat down again and everything, the state of West Virginia was mining 68 million tons on an annual basis, 68 million tons or less of thermal coal, and 58 million tons or less of thermal coal, and probably about 16 million tons of metallurgical coal. At one time, that total was 180 million tons. We're called upon again right now. And the pricing is off the chart. Off the chart. Absolutely, people could make incredible wages. Companies could go good. Severance tax could go great. All that could be done in a very, very, very prudent and responsible way. Someday, like it or not like it, but someday we probably won't need the eastern coal fields. We'll have to find technology that will give us alternative energy sources to make electricity. And I think we'll find that someday. And someday, just someday, we may very well find a way to make steel and not have to have coal. But today is not that someday. And so, from that standpoint, Jess, there is so many different things. Good gracious, there's no point in me pointing out the little stuff. The bottom line is we've tried to destroy these industries. We've tried to destroy them, take advantage of them, take them for granted, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we got a problem. And so we call on them. This is like Ghostbusters 9. You know, who do you call and everything? Well, I can tell you that this is an economic opportunity beyond belief for West Virginia, and it is an absolute opportunity for West Virginia to step forward and again, help protect this nation and save the world. Again, you know, and so Jess, it would be silly for me to try to tell you all the particulars, but this can be done. And West Virginia could lead the way again right now.
Thanks, Jess. Next to Brad McElhenney with West Virginia Metro News.
Hi, Governor. Hi, everybody. Governor and Secretary Crouch, too, the legislature passed a bill that would divide the biggest agency in your administration, the Department of Health and Human Resources, into two, the Department of Health and the Department of Human Resources. Just wonder your impression of that. Is that workable? Thank you.
Well, I'm going to let Secretary Krause talk in just a second, but Brad, all I would say to you is just this, for a long, long, long time, decades and decades, we recognize that we have more and more challenges in DHHR. You know this, and again, to be really, really fair, I have committed more dollars that way than any other governor, period. And we've tried to help more and more. In regard to this idea, all I would say is it probably needs a little more thorough thought and everything, but it is absolutely not a bad idea. And I don't know exactly whether or not that, splitting it makes it more complicated or does it make it better? And, but in the end, at the end of the day, I think it is, it is very worthy of the thought to really work on it some and work on it a lot, because we can help a lot of people. And I absolutely think, in the months ahead, we'll do exactly that. And if need be, at the end of the day, if it comes out that we can make improvements and make it better, I'll surely be, supportive.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad. Governor, I'll turn it back to you to close out.
Okay. I didn't make myself notes today. I should have, but I know Mark, asked some questions in regard to the income tax, and I surely tried to cover that, and the opioid and the fentanyl stuff, and the foster care, workers especially, that we surely need to get that pay raise across the finish line. I think we've got the ability to be able to do that within our own house, and I've given you the commitment that I'll absolutely stand up and stand rock solid to get that done. I hope everyone knows and hears me loud and clear. I want rid of our personal income tax in West Virginia bad. We have a way to do it, and we have a way to do it that will absolutely put net dollars in every single person's pocket. I don't know why in the world, if I were handing you a $100 bill, everybody a $100 bill, and ask you to give me back $32 of your $100 bill, who in the world would turn that down? Who in the world is going to turn it down? But absolutely, that's what we need. How we craft it and we put it together, that's the net of how it ought to be put together. Everybody in the state of West Virginia walks away with more dollars in their pocket. Everybody. In every circumstance, everybody walks away with more dollars. And we stimulate more and more growth. We stimulate more and more people coming to West Virginia, but somebody's got to come and talk to me. I mean, I beg them to come and talk to me, and absolutely, but just to say, well, I don't have anybody interested in doing this or that and everything else. We need people to lead too, do we not? Do we not make people presidents and speakers and chairmen and everything to lead? And so we got to lead. We got to educate. And we got to educate our public. We got to educate ourselves. There is a way. Now, with all that being said, from the standpoint of, Brad's question, about splitting up DHHR and everything else, may be the thing to do. I stand open. I stand completely open. I stand a little defensive about this. All those people that are working in DHHR the last couple of years have been tough stuff, and they've done a lot of good work. And we really and truly need to give them a little bit of a pass, because they've done all this incredible work and everything, and they really probably don't deserve, the rocks thrown their way right now. But we're going to look at this. Now we got some time, and to try to, jam a round peg into a square hole and everything. Now we got some time, and there's no question that there's problems. There's problems that need addressed, and I'll give you my word wholeheartedly. I'll commit to do exactly just that. trying to make it better all across the board. So with all that, again, I ask for your prayers for all these 6,559 people that we've lost. And I ask for your prayers for all those in Ukraine. And I ask for your courage to where you're not going to be afraid. You, Americans, West Virginians, are not going to be afraid. Because absolutely, at the end of the day, one thing we can absolutely be assured of, God's on our side. And if God's on our side, we don't have to be afraid. We don't have to be afraid of anything, anybody. So with all that being said, you know, I would surely like us to quit chasing maybe the dreams that we all need to chase from time to time. But today, we need to dial right into three things as far as energy in my book, and that's coal and oil and gas. Because at the end of the day, we want to continue to chase those dreams, but if we don't watch out, a lot of folks, and it could very well be us too, aren't going to have the opportunity to have the dreams. Absolutely, if you believe that absolutely Putin and the Russians are going to just blow Ukraine all to pieces and then just stop, why would you believe such a thing? Why in the world would they want a country that they're going to have to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars repairing and just stop? If you believe they're not going to stop, then we best better quit being afraid. And we best better stand up. And those MiG aircraft and everything else need to be there. We best better stand up and say, no, Putin, you're not going to scare us anymore. You're not going to scare us anymore. We're not going to run around with our tail between our legs and run to Iran and call Saudi Arabia up on the phone, and they won't even answer the phone for us. Why is that? Because we're weak. We're weak, and we're America. For crying out loud, if you believe the man's going to stop, then you don't need to listen to me. But if you believe that there's a chance, one chance in 100 or 1,000 or whatever, that he's going to keep going, we're going to end up right in the same spot by being strong as I think we should be in today. I think we should be strong today and not give him another foothold and controlling Ukraine today. Because if you believe he's going to go forward, we've got to be strong then. So why not be strong today? Nevertheless, I thank the legislature again for all their hard work. They spent 60 days, a lot of those days, away from their families. And we should commend them in every way. Let's keep moving north. That's what we need to do in West Virginia. Keep doing the good stuff and everything. And so nevertheless, that's all I got.